Welcome to Describing the Skybox, the podcast that's like a book club for people who don't think that books reward them enough for being good at them. I'm Chad Ruthermans.
And I'm Andy Kinnick.
And today, we're going to be talking about dreams. How'd you sleep last night? And by that I mean Dreams on the PlayStation 4, which is developed by Media Molecule, published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and published and released in 2020 on the PlayStation 4. And that's it. And now there's this nebulous thing that we have to contend with as people who say what consoles things are on, where in the most recent generation, you can just play all the same games that you had on the older generation, but it's like a slightly different version, which does exist for this game as well.
But first, you give us a like or rating. Follow us on Blue Sky. It would be greatly appreciated. Chad, can you describe Media Molecule's dreams?
You cut me off for making even more bad jokes.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Dreams is, and this isn't entirely unique. We have contended with this before because we talked about Mario Maker 2 many years ago. But Dreams is as much a game as it is a piece of game development software. So it seems, the thing that we are going to talk about, we're going to try to address this in sort of a broad sense, in that this is development software primarily, and then user created content are the games that you play. And I think both halves of this discussion are pretty interesting, but we have limited to zero experience with actually making anything in this. And I do want to start off with the non-games discussion part of this. But yeah, that is, it's difficult to necessarily classify this into a genre, but it is like game creation is the name of the game here. Yeah, a surprisingly robust set of tools.
It is interesting because like it does, and I guess it's probably up to like the marketing and everything like that behind the scenes, but like it does all like very much feel like a game, at least to me, more than it does like software. And yeah, I guess that's mostly like in the branding and the aesthetic and stuff, because they did produce like a good bit of their own content to put into the game to kind of like show you what's possible. And it's got like your little sprite guy that's your cursor, and like, you know, it has an identity of its own, which do make it feel more like a game.
Yeah, I think the first thing to do, because I am going to sort of like ping pong a little bit here, I do want to commend how much there is in the game itself. Like it is not just like a robust set of tools, but also a robust set of instructions and lots of templates and things that are with voiceover that describes like what you should be doing. There are text boxes as well in more traditional sort of tutorial format, but it wants you to go into this. I think the goal of Dreams, though I'm sure that Media Molecule knew that this wasn't going to be the case, but I think that like the design ethos was, let's get everyone who buys the game into making things, like into the creative tools, even though probably less than 10% of people even looked at the creative tools who bought this game. And that included us for several years. I mean, I think we looked at them, but I don't think that we really did anything.
Yeah, I couldn't remember because, yeah, like this came out in 2020 and you bought it. We were living together at the time. So this was like a COVID game for us where we would boot it up and just play whatever bullshit people made. Like I had a memory of us like, or it was probably just you and I was just like giving commentary on the couch or whatever. But of you like trying to make something, and like we probably did that for like 2 hours, and we had like a flat plane with grass, like a plain mannequin character model that could walk and jump, and that was it.
Yeah. I do. Now that you're saying this, this is dredging up a memory for me. That did happen. I definitely had like a thing where I was trying to map like an action to an animation. Like it was the thing, like I had an animation that was functioning. Yeah. And I was like, how does this work? And I just could not fathom it. Like I couldn't figure it out.
It's very complex
at the time. Yeah, which brings me to, I think, my first main thing that I want to talk about, which is hopefully the only time that these things will come up. But there's a comparison that I want to make here to both Mario Maker, which we've already talked about on the podcast, and to Game Builder Garage, which came out not exactly at the same time, but within like a year, I think, of Dreams coming out. And that was a Nintendo-made game. And it's interesting to see the design sort of ethos between the two and compare them, because I remember we did a similar thing, but in Game Builder Garage, I was able to actually like complete a full, what I consider to be the greatest game ever made, Normal Activity, the parked ones, a game that I made about parking a car.
A masterpiece.
So
I think you made it while I was on vacation.
I did.
I came back, and you were like, "Play this, please."
Which I don't know. Maybe I should like stream that or something. But I feel like you need somebody who's never seen it before to be playing it.
Right.
It's not important right now. Anyway, it's interesting to compare the two, because Dreams is like, Dreams wants you to make the game that you thought you wanted to make when you were a 12-year-old. Like, I want it to be this big, expansive thing with like 3D graphics and shit. And Game Builder Garage is like, here are like 8 different actions that you can make, and here are like the logic gates that work them. You will only be able to make something fairly simple, but with provided assets. And Dreams offers so much more in terms of like customization and all of the different things that you're capable of doing. It has essentially a Game Builder Garage editor inside of different objects within like the Dreams editor. Like it contains multitudes and is not as simple. But the simplicity of Game Builder Garage is what actually got me to do it. And then to go even further, Mario Maker is like, you can only make one kind of game, Super Mario Brothers, but it's very, very easy to do, and like rapid play testing and stuff.
Yeah, it's only 2D. It's just a Mario level. Yeah. No. It's a good comparison to make. Yeah, because like that's what Nintendo's good at. Like they're really good at curating an experience, and when they put out a product, they want you to have a nice time with it. Yeah, like they know how to give the audience something that will actually gel with them. And yeah, this game is like very pie in the sky. Like as you said, they want you to make the game that you thought you could make when you were 12. Yeah, it's like actually it sits in an interesting place, because like it is just game development software, but it is also gamified too. Like the way you actually interact with everything is probably a lot more approachable to the average person than coding is. But yeah, so it makes it sit in a really weird spot where like the game's audience really only seems like specific kind of hobbyists, you know, because like you have like the hardcore people, the ambitious people who will want to make the game from their 12-year-old imagination. And those people are probably just going to download Unity instead. And then like, then like the only real people left then I said like the people who just think it's neat are like younger like kids who think they might want to make games. They can cut their teeth on it. So yeah, it is like a really niche kind of interesting product to think about.
Yeah, it's weird because like now, and I don't know if this was the case at the time that it came out, I feel like its direct competition in terms of like attention is like Roblox, which also is like, but it's more of a Wild West but in a bad way, like in a in the real version of the Wild West where you could easily catch syphilis.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the Roblox environment, where they exploit the labor of children. And Dreams feels more like a community, like a thing that has like, I think it's like distance from release, where it's now shrunk down to the most like dedicated members for the most part. So yeah, I agree, because I don't think Dreams is not in the long term really competing with Game Maker Garage, because nobody played that, and also it's impossible to, which is another thing I want to talk about, it's impossible to like share stuff that you make with Game Builder Garage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that nowadays it's like, yeah, I think that there's sort of a contingency of people who make games on Roblox, and there are people who make games on Dreams, and then there are people who make games with traditional game making software, which is a different thing.
Right. They really shot themselves in the foot in the long run by not letting you like export your games.
Yeah.
Like I
really super did.
Yeah. I understand why you would think you would want to do that, but like they have that like big ass Dreams watermark in the corner anyway. Like everyone's gonna know it was made with Dreams. Like. Mm-hmm. Why not just let them put it on the internet?
Yeah, it seems kind of insane.
Or an itch or whatever.
Yeah, but the other, like the flip flop of that, I don't know if I feel like I would take that again. But whatever. On the flip side, the other thing is that with Dreams, when you put something on Dreams, you can then go. I could make something on Dreams. I could make Chad's butt ass adventure, and I could say, Andy, go to Dreams and go to a search bar and type in Chad's butt-ass adventure, and it will pull it up. You'll be able to find it, which is not true of any of the other things that I've mentioned. Well, maybe Roblox. I don't know that much about it, but you certainly couldn't do it in...
Can you not search people's stuff on Mario Maker? You had to get like a special code or some bullshit?
Of course you do. You can't just do a plain text search. There was a community-made mod for the first game. Yeah, and then you need your Nintendo code for the second game, though. I don't know if the mod exists in the second game. I never looked, but yeah, there was like a browser plugin that you could download for the first game that let you search names, and it would spit out the code that you had. But then you still had to put the code into the game. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a pain in the ass regardless to play levels on there. So yeah, the discoverability was functional at all in Dreams, which is really nice actually, because what we did for this is we played games at random effectively, and then if we ran into things that we thought the other person would, or that we wanted to both play and talk about, we let them know. And then I literally, like, you were like, play this game, The Pilgrim, and I went, okay, and I went in and I searched The Pilgrim and it just came up. Right. It's really nice when you're used to much more restrictive software in that sense. So
agreed. But yeah, like I just to speak a little bit more, because like I did not own this game. It was your copy back in the day, so I didn't get to spend a ton of time with it. But I do think it's really cool as somebody who's more of a visual learner, that like the way they tutorialize stuff is you have like a little cursor that's got a little face on it, and it possesses things. And so it like, you possess this like little cone with arms and legs, and like you use him to like walk around. And like I just think I like how they like visually tutorialize things like that. I think that's like, especially for younger people, I think a really smart way to teach them how this kind of stuff works. Because yeah, as we said, it's very complicated to just get a character to jump, because it's actual, logic and all that, and animations, and having to make it all work together. So I think it's really commendable, like all the work that they did to make this as accessible as possible.
Yeah, because I think that the other audience for it is just people who, for them, video games means a game on a dedicated console, right? Like a video game is a thing that you play with a controller on a television. And so I have like I have the two wolves inside of me, and the first one is like, I like that there is like this dedicated software for people who may not own a PC, like, or any kind of computer that's capable of this kind of a game development, or this kind of game development software. But then there's the other part of me that's like, the worst thing about Dreams by a mile is having to use a controller and not being able to just use a mouse. Because especially when it comes to, because there's 3 creation tools essentially included in this, the like game design and logic engine that they have that you can make stuff in. And then there's sculpting, where you can create 3D models, which is a very cool piece of software. And there's a music creation device that works similar to like a Fruity Loops or whatever.
Yeah, which is wild. Like, because I looked up a video about this game. I was just looking for a couple of videos, just to see what other people think about this game. And there's like one guy was like talking about how like people still use it, like how the community uses it now. And apparently, like, people use it for, like, concept art and storyboarding. Because, like, you can actually, like, make a bunch of assets that you can reuse. And, like, you can change the lighting and all this stuff. And then you can actually export that stuff. So I thought that was cool. And apparently there are people who, like, make entire albums in Dreams because it is just music creation software that is functional.
Right.
Which I think is wild, that there have been, full albums produced in Dreams. And like in professional, like concept artists have used it and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's really awesome.
And the fact that it has a thing that Nintendo would never allow. It has the capability of recording, albeit I assume that you can plug other microphones in, but I'm imagining speaking into the PlayStation 4 microphone.
Or,
but
like
it allows you to use
microphone.
Yeah. It allows you to use other sounds, like not just ones that are synthesized within the game, but you can voice act or just record, as I think one of the games that I think we'll get into here shortly did, just like recorded something playing off of your phone. And then have that run in to the game and use it there. So it's like not just music creation software, but also music creation software that has like other levels to it that you can access that are more robust than you might imagine for what its use case in game actually is.
Yeah. Can you not just plug a mouse into the PlayStation 4 or 5? Because like it's got
that's
USB
a great question.
ports. Like I wonder if
does.
I wonder if that has functionality at all.
Ignore my loud keyboard noises for a second. Oh, there is in fact no mouse support in Dreams.
Lame.
But you can type on a keyboard to type text, which seems like a weird line to draw.
Yeah. Probably, yes, the corporate mandate from Sony.
Yeah.
You have to use a controller.
Gotta sell more DualShock 4s.
Oh, okay. This is something, since this came up, I don't know how fruitful this conversation will be, but I feel like I always kind of subconsciously thought this about this game, but I have no idea if it's true, and I wonder if you get the same vibe. Do you feel like this is a game that Media Molecule wanted to make, or do you think this is a game Sony asks them to make? Because like the concept feels like such an uphill battle. Like I feel like even if you were super enthusiastic about it, you'd have to be like, oh man, like this is really niche. You know, like you can't use it with a computer. Like I feel like it's going to be a really limited audience. So I just like wonder if it was just like some old guy at Sony thought this was a great idea, and like that's why this exists. Or if it's something that they actually wanted to make. Because I feel like I always kind of assumed it was something Sony was pushing, and they got a studio they already owned to make it.
Right.
And I just thought today that I've always just made that assumption. I don't know if it's true.
I think so. I have very limited experience with Little Big Planet, right? Which was their previous game. There are 7 previous games.
Yeah,
there are like a bunch of them.
I think there are at least 3 of them.
Yeah. But my assumption was that because the thing that I knew about Little Big Planet, more than even like what the game is that it had like a very robust level editor that people were very enthusiastic about, at least on the PlayStation 3. And so I kind of thought of Media Molecule as the like community created content company.
Right.
And so it made sense to me that they would make a game like this, but I didn't give it that much thought before now. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't have much more to back it up, but like I just always kind of got that vibe that like Sony was the ones that wanted this to get made for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
Like, yeah, get
there
the
is
Little
just
Big
like
Planet
a lot.
people. They made a level editor.
Yeah. This will be just have them teach people how to do complicated programming tasks. But I mean, if like Gary's Mod and Redstone and Minecraft or anything to go by, people will figure out how to do complicated programming tasks in anything that you give them. So maybe they didn't have to try that hard at the end of the day. But yeah, that was so my like preparation coming into this, because I did a little bit. I played around in one of the templates that they have, the dungeon crawling template. Ran into a roadblock with it like remarkably early, we'll say. I did a very bad job with it. And that's as somebody who has had experience with this, especially with these types of like do codeless coding kind of tools. I'm always really fascinated how different people tackle that concept in different ways.
It's like the little nodes that you can like draw lines between sort of thing.
Yeah, and that stuff's always very interesting to me, but I still ran into a block just like following their tutorial with it. So I did what I assume a lot of people new to this game would do, and that is I went to YouTube and just searched up like dream shaping tutorial, and then I scrolled by all of the new wave shit that came up, or new age. My joke has been ruined because I used a music genre. But I just like watched a couple of videos that people had made about how to begin in the game and like how to make stuff. And people are very resourceful, I'll say. And the sculpting is really interesting to me because like the game has like 2 measurements of like your, I want to call it like CPU usage. I don't know what it's actually measuring, but they're called thermometers in the game. And it's like your visual thermometer, which is like how many or how complex the visual objects are in your scene. And then the gameplay one, which is like just how much shit is everywhere. And so you have to optimize for that. And a way that a lot of people do it is they'll make like one thing, like a single object, and then duplicate it and then just like paint it green and put it down, and that doesn't increase the visual complexity at all, but it just like adds, it's like a minimal on the gameplay side. So like you'll have like grass and rocks and clouds, and they're all made out of the exact same object, just like reshaped or like resized and recolored, which is kind of incredible. And gave me a lot of context into some of the other games that I was playing leading up into this. And it's just, I don't know, it's so weird. And it gives, and this is a negative, I think, it gives everything Made in Dreams this Made in Dreams ass look to it.
Yeah.
Where everything seems like it like weirdly furry, and it has like a wispy kind of aesthetic to it. And we're going to talk about some games in a bit, but I think some of them do a really good job of sort of overcoming that or like leaning into it in a way that works, and other ones where it stands out as being like this is a very Dreams looking game.
Yeah. No, yeah. The engine has a very like identifiable look to it. The kind of stuff that's easy to make in it. Yeah, like it's interesting because like you see the stuff that Media Molecule made, and like it's all like super stylized and stuff, and it's just like if I feel like if you don't push the visuals that far where you make it super stylized, like yeah, it just looks like Dreams assets.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just tell immediately.
And I also wonder how much of it is. This is, I think, the last major note that I have before we talk about the games that we played. But one of the main major things about Dreams that makes it like a unique tool when it comes to this stuff is the sort of community aspect of it, and the fact that you can borrow assets that people make, or even take other people's games and then rewrite them yourself. Which I find to be, I mean, it's interesting for sure, but it also sets it apart from like, it's like a thing that embraces the community made content. And weirdly, the result is there are fewer games on Dreams that are just carbon copies of existing already popular games. I think because it's easier to sort of take and borrow and compile, and maybe this is more of a discussion about the creative process than anything else. Mm-hmm. People don't hit that wall where they're like, what do I make? I don't know. I like Mario Kart, so I'll make Mario Kart Dream. I'll make Dreams Kart 8.
I mean, that still happens, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can't stop people from infringing on copyright. It's it's like the most consistent human pastime.
Right, especially today.
Yeah. But I don't know. I find that interesting. If I were to make stuff in Dreams, I feel like that would be... I like that feature. I like that it's kind of like an asset store itself within it, like within the game development software. And it works really well as like a community thing. And I assume that people have to like mark their creations as like shareable before you can do that. So there's like less of a like an ownership issue with it, and it automatically appends everyone's name into the credits. I think it's a very cool little process that they have. And of course, that process had not been used better than in the creation of the greatest game of all time, The Quest for Cheese.
Yeah. So I mean, this game is basically like a meme game, but like it defined our experience with the game, or at least mine, I think. Like when I think of Dreams, the first thing I think of is Quest for Cheese. And that must be widespread enough, because like when I booted up my copy of the game and looked at the most popular stuff, Quest for Cheese was probably like still like in the top 20. So it's a titan of the Dreams catalog.
Truly. Yeah, and it's interesting because it is like,
and it came out in like a week after the game launched.
Yep, because I think a lot of people immediately went into they were looking at the tool. I think that artists are weird people. Like visual artists, because I feel like I've never met, I mean, there are some musicians I've met who are like this, who can like, you hand them something completely new and they will find a way to like make a 3D model of SpongeBob with it. And you're like, how did you, like, I can't grasp elements of this software that seem like they would be necessary for me to be able to sculpt anything resembling anything, and somebody can just like chisel out a handsome Squidward in 2 seconds, and I'm like, okay, sure. And so I think that happened, and I wrote down the for the ones that I played, I wrote down the people who like are credited as creating them. Keon Broom, I don't know, it's all lowercase, all one word, was just find all of those sculpts that people made and pulled them all in. And then has like the basic physics and jumping puppet and just ran with it from there. Because this is a game where you play as Wallace of the Wallace and Gromit short films. And the first scene has you talking to Homer Simpson and Morty rather, from Rick and Morty, while music from Undertale plays in the background.
Right.
It's very stupid, but it is defining, like you said. There's something. This is like the most Dreams game that exists.
Yeah, and like I think the funniest detail about it is that Gromit is not in it, or nor is he ever even mentioned. You're just Wallace on the quest for cheese. And each new scene is funny. Manages to be funny. Like, I completely forgotten about the Africa level, where just like a MIDI version of the song Africa by Toto is playing the whole time, but it's like really fast and you're just like running at hyperspeed around like a field.
Notably, it's a MIDI version of Africa by Toto, but later in the game, there is a definitely not MIDI version of Megalovania that plays.
Right.
So it's like not even like a copyright thing. It was a choice that they made because it is funny.
Right.
And it is successfully funny as well. Yeah. It's because it is a shit post, right? Like, it's just nonsense.
But it's fun. It's so funny because of how impressive it is, though, that they made the whole thing. And you just got like the weird physics of the Wallace puppet mannequin just kind of like almost falling over all the time. There's like a part where you have to like jump up a cliff and you can just kind of like fade into it. Like, you can just kind of fall out of the level and like all kinds of wacky stuff.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Yeah, because of how early it was, like, in the life cycle of the game. It's funny because like because it garnered so much attention early on. And obviously there's a ton of meme games that came out. I want to credit the Quest for Cheese as being like the first one. I don't know if that's true. One. Yeah, like, but I think its success sort of spurred a lot of that stuff on. But it's interesting because it is like a very, I guess in the modern age you would call it the modern age 5 years later. You would call it like brain rot, where it's this like, there is this like desire to just like cram everything into it, and that's part of what makes it as funny as it is. And also, like you mentioned, like Gromit not being mentioned, like somebody obviously has like a understanding generally of Wallace and Gromit because they know that Wallace likes cheese,
right? They've seen,
but not enough to
out short.
Yeah,
where they go to the moon to get cheese.
And it's not, but like no other aspect of the franchise was used, despite him being the main character. It's a very sort of like surface level, all over the place kind of thing, but just crammed all together, Super Smash Brothers style. And I don't know, it's just really amusing. I think it's one of those things that like is kind of a cultural artifact in that way, which maybe is ascribing too much importance to the Quest for Cheese, but
it captured something, you know?
Yeah.
Also want to give an honorable mention to Shrek Falls Down the Stairs. Another banger. I
had forgotten about Shrek Falls Down the Stairs until this very moment.
Which is just Shrek falling downstairs to All-Star. Or is it a different Smash Mouth song?
Well, I know that
like
the
I'm
Quest
a
for
Believer
Cheese
or something.
It might be I'm a Believer, which was in Shrek 2, I believe.
Yeah, I want to say, yeah, it's like the I thought love was only true in fairy tales as he's falling down the stairs.
Oh, surprisingly, very little All-Star in this most recent visit to Dreams, because the Quest for Cheese has a Smash Mouth song as well, but it's Walking on the Sun.
Yeah, it's like a MIDI version of Walking on the Sun, yeah.
Yeah, which is played with no context whatsoever where it's appropriate, as is sort of the desire of the creator of the Quest for Cheese.
Of course.
But it's just, I did this time. I didn't inspect this when I first played it, which might expose a bit of a flaw in their method of giving credits to everyone who worked on a game. The credits list for the Quest for Cheese is massive. It's like hundreds of people.
Right, because he just only used pre-made assets to put it together.
Yeah, existing assets.
Mm-hmm.
And then just strung them all together himself. So, fascinating game, though. It definitely should be the first game anyone checks out when they play Dreams.
But only like for real.
Yeah. So, do you want to do the games that we both played, and then we'll sort of go back and forth with the ones that we didn't? Okay. So the first one that I suggested was a game called Purgatory Panic, which is a game that was developed by Surrounded _. And I found it because it was just literally the first one on the Media Molecule like curated list.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of doing, I have several earlier than this that I found in different ways. But I wanted to sort of test, experience the sort of discoverability that the game has. And this is the first one that was like picked by the developer as a curator. And it was pretty neat. It was like a 2D platformer that was mapped onto a cylinder. And you play with this like upward facing angle. I was surprised at how good it was and how the perspective did not make me vomit immediately. And I kind of got used to it. It felt more like a normal 2D platformer after some time. So it was kind of unique. My favorite thing about it, though, because it's a unique and a cool way of like designing a platformer, but my favorite thing about it is just visually, it's a game that does not look like a Dreams game. And it has this cool focus on like each level. Have you ever played Thumper?
I watched you play it.
It's also a game that has like a tunnel-y kind of structure to it where you can always see like the end zone and there's like a boss there. And each level in Purgatory Panic has like a boss face that you're trying to make your way up to. And I thought that was very visually interesting. And a lot of the highlights of it were the levels where they, like the boss character, interacted with the level as you were climbing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was incredibly impressed with this. Yeah, the unique perspective is really cool. Because, yeah, like it does kind of feel like you're looking up, you know, like towards the end of the level. Which almost makes it feel like a little bit more intense or something. Like, I don't know. It is like a cool thing once you settle into it. And like, yeah, it controls surprisingly smoothly. Like I didn't encounter any bugs or anything. Yeah, it's just really cool. Like it feels like just like a quote real game. like something you'd find on Steam.
Yeah. No, that is it, because it feels like one of those like platformers. Early in the the podcast has lived long enough for this joke to go out of fashion somehow. But we used to always be like, oh, it's like a 2D puzzle platformer,
retro indie 2D platformer.
Yeah. And now that's like less of a thing, but this kind of harks back to those days where like every new cool indie game that came out, similar to like Fez that we just talked about last time, is like, oh, it's just like a platformer, but it has a twist on it. So it was kind of almost nostalgic for me to go play a game like that. I will say the wall jumping, I don't know if you finished the game. It's actually kind of long.
I did. Yeah, I didn't get all the ghosts, but I got to the end.
Yeah, I played multiple games, one that we'll talk about, that we both played, that we'll talk about later, that had like absurd numbers of collectibles, which to me feels like kind of misses the point of, I think that's kind of there's a mental departure between like when you're playing games in Dreams, you want them to feel like this is like almost like prototyping, like this is like an idea and you can get through it pretty quickly or whatever. But when you're making a game, you're thinking like, this is a grand project that I'm working on and I want it to be like artistically complete. Mm-hmm. So I respect it.
Want it to be like, substantial.
Yeah, but I'm never going to go through your game and get all the collectibles. Like just as a as a fair warning to any developers, I will not be tempted. Mm-hmm. Though I did do some of the ghost collecting in this game because it was a fun challenge. But Yeah, I thought the game was like a little bit long for the context that it's in, but that's like a weird nebulous thing to even talk about. So like I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think I would agree, but like it stays good all the way through. So
Yeah.
they had follow through with it.
There was one jump. There's like a jump where you have to like do a wall jump up a little stick. It's so weird, like in the context of the greater game where everything are these like big flat shapes. There's like one jump that involves you jumping onto these like narrow platforms. One of his, which is like a vertical-ish one that you wall jump off of and land on a platform above it that's like a flat, straight platform. And I was like, I am not going to say like, oh, I wish that my dreams games were developed entirely perfectly and had no bad design decisions in them. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like it was a thing where I found the wall jump to be a little bit sluggish if you had to do it very quickly, and the design lesson there is to just like try and de-emphasize things that could cause like frustration that isn't like, you know, skill related stuff like that. And there was like one level in this game that I felt really emphasized those like quick wall jumps that just like didn't function within the game as well. But otherwise, yeah, I think like every level is well designed and pretty good. And I really like the one where the boss guy is crying and it's like flooding that one's incredible. I think that's
It
a
was
great
really
level.
cool. And the music levels were cool too.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing about this game is that the music was great. I noticed like a difference in like variation. I didn't look into where all the music came from, if it was developed for the game specifically or if it was pulled from other places. But the rhythm-based levels make me think that it had to have been bespoke, at least in some way.
It might just be that one song.
Yeah,
It was like the same song in every
good.
rhythm level.
Yeah, but it is a good song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And,
And the
the
levels
level
are
with
good,
with the eyeball in particular, I think it feels like it was designed for that. But yeah, I mean, I think easily the best thing I've ever played in Dreams.
Oh wow. Did you want to go to
Other than Shrek Falls Down the Stairs?
Which is the obvious best thing that I've ever played in or out of Dreams. Did you want to go to The Pilgrim, which is one that you suggested?
Sure, we can do that. Yeah, like I just perused games on the most popular list. I don't know if that's different from I assume it's different from the curated list. And this was something up towards the top. It had a picture of a castle. It was called Pilgrim or The Pilgrim. So I was like, I'll check that one out. And yeah, it's one of those, I think there's like different types of games, and I think these are good ones to do back to back because you have things like Purgatory Panic, which are, I think, obviously made by somebody who's very like game developer mechanics minded. But I feel like a lot of stuff in Dreams is very aesthetic. Like people want to try and make a game that like looks like a quote real game. And I think Pilgrim is one of the better examples of that, of like one of the better looking games. Because you're playing as like a wizard who's like on a pilgrimage to get a key or something.
It is a platformer where you play as a wizard, which is like the most video games thing that you can do.
Yeah, it feels very 90s-y. But yeah, and they just gave you like the long jump and the triple jump from Mario 64. But programmed much worse. And you don't actually have to do that much platforming. It's kind of like a hybrid platformer / just kind of an adventure game. You just kind of go through these cool little levels. There's like a little bit of combat. You can shoot lightning and some fire. You can do a little fire dodge. And you can ride on ropes and stuff. So you just go through like a little adventure through a little world. And then there's like 3 different endings. I picked the moon hat. I got the moon ending because I was just thinking of Elden Ring. Might as well pick the Ronnie ending. I was tempted by the
sun
Void
one,
though.
which puts it puts the wizard on the beach.
Nice.
Yeah.
The little like blue butterfly that drops you off at the beginning comes back. in the moon ending.
Oh, that's sick.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just this cool little experience. It feels exactly like the kind of thing I would want to make if you gave me a copy of Dreams and an infinite amount of free time.
Yeah, I really like this one. I thought it is dreamy for sure. It has that look to it, and it's a little all the actions and the animations are a little bit janky in that way, but I think very functional. Works well for the platforming that you do have to do. I do love the long jump in particular because it makes you move faster than like light.
Yeah, you do kind of like just careen like forward.
Which is because there's like a part where like the ground is collapsing behind you in this one part of a level, and I was like, oh, I'll just long jump, and it was just like immediately to the end of the thing. I was like, I win, I guess. Very cool. But I like this one as an example of a game that that leans into that aesthetic that Dreams kind of forces on you. I think that the lighting effects were really good in this.
Yeah.
To really like give contrast to the things.
There were a few points though where it was like pitch black though.
Yeah, no. You take when you take big swings, you strike out sometimes.
No, but I agree they were nice though.
Yeah. I like that you could shoot lightning on occasion. That was pretty wild. And yeah, just like the gameplay variation near the end, because it was a really simple platformer, but then they added, it was a simple like top-down shooter and a simple action RPG for a second. And so you ended up with sort of, it added complexity by adding a lot of different game types to it. And I think it just worked. It was a cute game and one that I did actually enjoy a good bit.
Yeah, it's charming for sure. And yeah, it definitely has some of that like N64 platformer nostalgia feel to it. Like,
it does.
Like games like A Hat in Time and stuff kind of capture.
You can tell it's made by somebody who has a similar sort of appreciation for that era.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Oh, and it was made by this one's great because I can't pronounce it at all. It is Narvik Guten and Majones Kanjan in collaboration that we've all been looking forward to.
The Dream team. The Dreams team.
Oh yeah, the Dreams team. Very good. I think the last one that we
Pogo.
Yeah, Just Pogo is the last one that we both played. Which I suggested, but it was a game. I don't know if you remembered this.
Yeah,
this is a game that we played back in the day.
Yep. You can't forget it, I think.
No.
Yeah, so this is a game where you're just a little stick guy on a pogo stick, and it very much feels like, and it's like a physics-based game, but it very much feels like an early iPhone game to me. Like it reminds me of like, I think like Jelly Car, or like there were different like weird little games like this on the iPhone early on, and it has that energy. Yeah,
I remember that Mark Brown of Game Maker's Toolkit, like a million years ago, did a video about Downwell, another game that we talked about on the podcast. And then as like a consequence of that episode, hosted a game jam that was like the one button game jam, where it's like make a game where you can only like that is controlled with a single button in the way that Downwell is. And Just Pogo fits into that mold really well. So that's kind of what I connected it to. Also, I kind of connected it to the game N. I don't know if you remember that game, but it was like a Flash game that got a release on the DS somehow.
No, I do not remember that.
Yeah, it was like I don't know. I think actually it was mentioned in a recent Curse to Judge video. We're just referencing every YouTuber right now. Or I am, but it's good. I like Just Pogo because it seems like the kind of game that Dreams would be uniquely good at producing, and it just is. So it lives up to that because it's a really simple concept. It's very fun for a while. It gets challenging to the point of not being fun, I think, like at about the halfway point. I did not finish it notably this time through.
Yeah, I did 10 levels.
Yeah, it sounds about right. But it's a really cool idea. I think that like visually it's really simple, but it gets its thought across. It's a great piece of like just outside of Dreams. It's just a great sort of piece of like intro to game design, kind of like 101 concepts executed like perfectly. Like visually simple, works out really well. Has like there's complexity to it that the player can learn from. There's a lot of just like cool strategies that you can come up with, and also it's just silly physics garbage, which everybody loves for at least a little bit. So.
Yeah, it's like if you make like a big jump, like you have that temptation to just try to do a front flip before you like land.
Agreed. Yeah.
Style points. Yeah, it needs like a Devil May Cry style meter. Yeah, and also the other game it made me think of, I think it was called like Bike Race or something. I just feel like there were a lot of like little physics-based games because of like you could tilt the iPhone to do shit. But yeah, it just has that kind of energy to it, and yeah, it's just like a very simple concept that like the kind and you also brought up Flash games, like it has Flash game energy as well. But yeah, it's one of those simple concepts that's just kind of addicting.
For sure, yeah. And it is like it's exactly the thing that you would see that you would load up a web page in 2001 and it would just be like, just Pogo and then a big play button.
Yeah, and it's also like one of those kind of games that like if you played it with somebody else, like them watching you and like if you're having trouble with the level, it's one of those games where they're going to be like, no, let me try it. It makes you like want to try and like tackle it. I don't know what that quality is, but
yeah, it's been weaponized against us in the form of those ads for games where you like pull pins out of shit. So definitely an existing concept for sure.
But yeah, not too much else to say about it though, I don't think.
No, yeah, this was less of a, like, I did try and make it sound grand. It's more of just like a recommendation. If you have Dreams, go try Just Pogo.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely
pretty fucking cool.
It makes the Mount Rushmore of Dreams games for me.
So these are ones that that the other person did not play, I think, from here out.
Yeah, I've only got 2 additional ones to mention.
Okay, I have 3. One of them is, I think I can combine 2 of them because the point of including them is kind of the same. And one of them just has like an interesting story attached to it. So I had 2, these, I'll just go over those ones now and then we'll do yours. But I just wanted to call this out because in Dreams you can find games, but then you could also find scenes and assets. I think they call them elements. Not everything that you open up is going to be a game.
Like Shrek falls down the stairs.
And I was sent as like a direct message on Dreams at some point in the last... Oh, I think I could tell you because I believe I wrote it down. It was like... Yeah, it was sent to me by the creator directly 71 months ago. That's how it was listed on the thing. But it's a short film, I suppose, called The Diamond Transference by Toronto Mayor MFU2. just a bizarre name. But it was like a little short film about like a diamond that fell out of space and a guy, like a normal dude, absorbed it and gained superpowers. And then he befriends a robot who's wearing a wizard's hat and it fights off an alien who came to like reclaim it. Very simple kind of story. I was impressed to a degree with the like cinematography, so to speak, of it. But it was interesting to be sent a thing directly from the crew. I don't know how I liked one of their previous things while playing. And they're like, this guy's got to learn about my newest project, the Diamond Transference. Maybe not my thing, but it's, I don't know. The guy clearly spent some time on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
There are a lot of like liminal space things like that, like where you'll like boot up something that just is called liminal something or other, and then it's just like 3D modeled liminal spaces. You can't move around. You just look at them.
Yeah. I did see there's like they had like a thing that was called, I didn't get to delve into these, unfortunately, in the time that I had, but they had this like, they had these categories that you would click on. It would bring up like a big cloud of different things. And they were all like loosely related creations to a particular topic. And there was like a liminal theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's why
you're
you're seeing a lot of them. Yeah.
In the popular tab, there were a bunch of them.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was, and this was set up more like a game, but obviously wasn't really a game, that was called Guitar Shop Simulator by Stank Hank. And why Guitar Shop
I did
Simulator?
notice that one, but I didn't play it.
Yeah, so this one was on the trending now page. I wrote down where I found these. So this is trending, but it's just like you just sort of walk around a music store, and they're like little mini games with which you can play music. And it's interesting because like I've now seen what the like music creation tools look like, and it's kind of impressive that they were able to make the instruments like as functional as they were. Not that they were fully functional, they played as mini games. So it would be like you press on the D-pad to like set the key that you're in, and then you would like waggle the joystick to strum or whatever. But there are a few, like the hammered dulcimer, like you could compose a song on there if you wanted to. It's just you're only limited to like 24 notes or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it was a cool, both of those were like, you had something that did something a lot with the visuals and did it as like in a short film format. And this was like almost just like a tech demo of like, look what you can do with sound and music, and like have people create their own stuff in a way within a game. So kind of cool. I wanted to shout those two things out.
So yeah, the other things I played that stood out to me weren't any good. But to give one of them credit, it did say that it was like a work in progress. So,
okay.
But yeah, the first one was called Endless Summer, which was a narrative game. And I was like, okay, like this is on the popular page. Like it looks like something somebody put a lot of time into. Like I feel like I'm the target audience for that. Like we're on record. We like fucking Heavy Rain, you know, like I'll push X to Jason. So yeah, I booted that one up, and it just was so boring. But like, I mean, it did look nice, like nice lighting. Once again, it's leaning away from the Dreams aesthetic, where like everything looked nice, and then you just have like the mannequin people inhabiting it, which is kind of jarring. There's a lot of Dreams games like that. So yeah, it was kind of cool, but like just, man, like it was like you were playing as like a kid who I didn't get far enough into the story to know if he was wrongly arrested or not, but like you're on like some kind of probation, and you have to like work at this like car garage, and like you get dropped off by the cops, you know, like the first, like you like go find your room, you go to sleep. You wake up the next day, and he's like, oh, you got to go find, like, the screwdriver or something. I don't know where it is. Go ask around. And I was just like, oh. There's, like, one other guy in the garage, and I talked to him, and he didn't say anything. And I was like, well, this is not meeting the base threshold of fun for me.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one, I don't remember the name of it, so I feel bad. But it was, like, a kind of like a Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Grab by the Ghoulies, kind of like Super Nintendo kind of era top-down or arcadey horror kind of game.
Okay.
Where you play...
I mean, sounds
like
promising.
It's kind of like a top-down view. You're a guy like in a building It's like a maze of hallways and rooms, and there's like a ghost or like a monster of some kind, and you have to like avoid the monster, and you have to like search for. You have like an objective to like find 3 keys or find whatever, and then you have to like go to like cabinets, and you actually have to stand there and like hold the button while you search. So you have to like kind of position yourself, you know, far enough away from the monster to search the drawers and try to finish your objectives. Which is like, I think, the skeleton of a good idea, but just as complete as it was at the current moment, it just wasn't any fun. And it was way too easy to just go to the opposite side of the map as the ghost and be in no danger.
This didn't happen to be Gloom the Last Survivor, was it?
I'll see if I'll look that up. But that doesn't sound familiar.
Because that's the other game that I have, which I wanted to also call out for not being very good.
Hold on,
which is more harsh than what I actually wanted to do. But yeah, it was like a game where you could walk or crawl around and you search like trash cans and drawers for food and batteries.
No, this is different.
Okay. That's crazy that those two games coexist and have very similar sort of ideas.
Yeah.
This one, my main concern with it, well, it was a little bit boring, I think, because of what I think the main issue is. I wanted to call this one out because, one, I think it visually looked really good. They chose to make it in black and white, which I thought was a good idea.
Man, that would have been the detail to say.
Oh, yeah.
The game I played was not in black and white.
Not in black. There it is. Yeah, this is in black and white, but it was also like a top-down thing in like this town, like a 3D modeled town. And you walked around, and there were these. They had a name that I forget. Like they were wraiths of some kind. It was effectively like the Quiet Place kind of concept, where it's the amount of noise that you were making is what would attract enemies. But it's very binary. So if you went prone and crouched and crawled everywhere, then you basically would never get caught ever. And I think that the food hunger meter was included in order to encourage you to like move faster and like take risks, but it like never declined fast enough to actually matter. I think the main problem though is with the AI, with the like enemy AI, and it kind of calls to attention how hard enemy AI must be to do in Dreams.
Well, I think just in general.
Well, that's true.
It's hard to program good enemy AI.
Yeah. And I think that I saw a lot of games in my time playing where enemies were just like, they locked onto you and walked at you at a set speed, essentially. Which is a very sort of simple way of doing enemy design, and that's kind of what the Wraiths did. But I'm interested in how, and I think there might be a way that I could look at it, whether or not I would understand it, given that I don't really understand Dream's tools that well. I would like to see how the Wraiths behave under the hood, and like what it is that actually attracts them, and like when they become lethal or when they lock onto you, because it felt inconsistent while also being like a little bit too easy to circumvent. So yeah, I thought it was a commendable effort. I just think that the final product didn't really land as a game, and I want to blame the complexity of like programming AI for why that was.
Yeah. I my memory of us trying to like looking up horror games when we played this back in the day. Which the AI was either like so dumb that you were never in any danger, or so aggressive that it would like attack and kill you instantly. And just like swung to extremes.
Yeah, notably in what I think is potentially the most well-designed Dreams game, The Quest for Cheese.
Of course,
it even has a sign that's like in the level where you're being attacked by Big Chungus. It's like if you die infinitely, press the rewind time button. Because even those masterminds could not get AI to work in the way that would be most appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about with Dreams?
I mean, I just kind of wanted to bring up the fact that you're just to revisit for a second to see if there's anything interesting to talk about. Just the fact that it came out like right when COVID kicked off, when lockdown kicked off. Because like one of the first things we played on it was a game called COVID Simulator, where you just had to like collect toilet paper and maybe like one other thing, like you had to like go to the grocery store or whatever. It's just, I feel like even though this game didn't sell super well, I feel like it probably did better than it would have because it came out when it did.
Yeah.
Like I do feel like there was like an immediate community of people making stuff right at the beginning. And I just like wonder how boosted that was by lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a subset of people who are who for them COVID was like an extended period of like downtime. Mm-hmm. It was obviously a humanitarian nightmare for a lot of people, but for some people we did just kind of get to sit around and do nothing. And some people got into making sourdough bread. Mm-hmm. And then some people probably got into miniature game development through Dreams because of the time that it came out. And I think that's pretty cool because there is a sort of amount of anything. Maybe I'm getting into final thoughts here, but I think that anything that like can get people to sort of like, that is the thing that pushes somebody from I can't make something to I'm going to try making something is usually a good endeavor. And I think that Dreams coming out at that time, I think like being a COVID game for us who stayed mostly busy during COVID, could have been someone else's like introduction to design, which is kind of pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Also, just one random thing is I think we played some kind of game that was like Trump in Bloodborne or something. It was like
I do remember this, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a city street of like Yarnum or whatever, where you played as like a cartoony Trump model, and it just like played like real life voice clips of Trump saying stuff like, I got a small loan of $1 million, or like those like famous quotes from him. And it just, for some reason, that really, really got me. There's something like the real like quotes completely out of context. Like it was just dumb and surreal in just the right way.
Yeah, just in the for the context for them to be out of and put into being Bloodborne, it's just
right.
like so out of left field. No, that's a good call out. I think that and the toilet paper game are definitely games that I was not able to relocate while I was digging through some stuff. Though they're probably there. We just played like 300 games. I just have to find where the history is.
Right. Do we have Shrek Falls Down the Stairs thoughts?
Yeah. My Shrek Falls Down the Stairs thoughts are that I find Dreams to be sort of equal parts frustrating and inspiring in what it was able to do as a piece of software. It's a thing that I maybe just don't have the time to sort of dedicate to figure out what it is that Dreams has going for it as software. But I do love it at like seeing the games. I brought up that one game, Gloom, that I didn't really like that much as a game. And I think that part of it has to do with the software development tools, but that game like had a developer logo splash screen and a title menu, which a lot of games on Dreams don't have. But it was interesting to see, and it kind of, and it being one of the first games that I played on this revisit, put everything else in sort of a contextualization, a contextual box for me to view it in, and be like, some people took this very seriously. And I think that's a good thing for people to have done. I think that the games that are developed on Dreams are very much like actual games and actual expression that people have. And I think that is very cool because it is so community driven and there's actual discoverability. And it is a bummer that it is such a niche product because obviously the majority of people are not going to play Shrek Falls Down the Stairs or Purgatory Panic or even The Quest for Cheese, even though it seems a disproportionate number of people did in fact play The Quest for Cheese. But it's really cool to see what a lot of people are doing, even if some of it is shit posting and some of it doesn't turn out very well. It's the kind of variety, the fact that the tools are so robust, the variety of games that you get back are actually very diverse. And it's a very interesting thing to explore. So we talked about some games, but my recommendation is if you pick up Dreams, just like, don't just play the games that we talked about or like get from a recommended list. Just go nuts and just click on anything that catches your interest. And that's kind of my takeaway. And if you do have the time and inclination, try learning the tools and make something yourself. It sounds fun to do. The end.
My quest for thoughts are yeah, I think this game is really cool, actually. I'm glad that you picked it up when it came out, because I don't think this is something that ever would have caught my attention otherwise. And yeah, I think that's kind of a shame that, yeah, because that seems to be the boat most people are in. Because yeah, I feel like they put a lot of time and effort into this game, like trying to make it both like that balancing act of like both being legitimate game making software and also feel more gamey. I feel like they walk that tightrope really well. It just, unfortunately, that's just an incredibly niche thing that did not sell very well. And so yeah, I think they fought the good fight and supported it for a while, but they have not updated it in years and years at this point. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. Like, I think you can get it. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I think you can get it for like $20 now. So yeah, if you're somehow here and have not played it, and if it sounds interesting at all, pick it up. Like, it's fun to kill an afternoon. Yeah, like you said, just browse whatever. And you'll have a good time just seeing what weird and crazy and sometimes surprisingly good things people make. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of fun. Like, yeah, I wish if I would have, like, this sort of thing would have come out when I was like maybe like 14, 15, like maybe it's something I could have gotten into the tools. But yeah, I wish I had more time to mess around with them, but yeah, like I feel like, yeah, like the 3D sculpting is like especially a rabbit hole I could probably fall down. But yeah, no, it's all really cool and robust, probably more cool and robust, too cool and robust for its own good. But yeah, like yeah, really cool game. It's kind of a shame that it's like kind of stuck in a weird position. So, I'm glad that Sony like takes a big swing every once in a while and publishes something weird like this, and like Astrobot and things like that.
That is true. Thank you for listening to Describing the Skybox this week.
What will the die dictate we're playing next time?
The table's pulled up.
11.
Wait, you can't do 11? No. Oh, hey.
I feel like that's your reaction to everything. Every time I roll something, you're like, oh.
Oh yeah. Well, you stop rolling only spicy things.
Never.
Next time we're going to be talking about the Earthbound Halloween hack.
Okay, I didn't expect that.
That see?
Ooh,
yeah, the reaction justified, as it turns out. Yeah, so that's I don't actually know how long this is, but we actually have probably more time than normal to complete it. So Interesting. So this was the Earthbound ROM hack that Toby Fox made that put him sort of on, or that people unearthed. I don't know how popular this actually was, but it sure as hell became more popular post Undertale.
Right.
So I'm interested to see. I don't actually know that much about it other than what it is and who made it. So
Right. Me neither. I think it might have some Undertale music in it. Like, I think he made music for other things that he then put into Undertale, I know. So there might be one or two familiar tracks or something. Yeah. That's about all I know. And it might be wrong. I think the main character is not Ness. I think you play as some other character, but all the other characters are the same or something. I don't know.
Interesting. And it is actually kind of notable because of the games that get a lot of ROM hacks, Earthbound not typically one of them.
Right.
So pretty interesting there. But yeah, we'll check it out. We'll see what's going on next time, which should be our last Mystery May episode of the year. So I hope you've enjoyed it. And until that time, you can get a hold of us. All of our contact information is on our website at describingtheskybox.com or on splattershot.pro. There, you can find links to our email address, the Blue Sky account, our YouTube channel, or you can listen to any of our old episodes, including ones that we did on Mario Maker 2. Good luck!
Sculpt that like button. Quest for cheese in the comment section.
I was literally about to say quest. I'm so mad about that. Touch the bean to reign supreme. And ring that bell. That is just a line of dialogue from the Quest for Cheese.
Push Shrek down the stairs so that he lands on the subscribe button.
Holy God. Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. However, I'm going to insist that we say something funny before starting the episode so that I don't have to just use me screaming as the outro.